We are live on location at the confluence, the meeting point of the Elbow and the Bow River, just behind Fort Calgary. Councillor Druh Farrell dropping by. Councillor Farrell, thanks for stopping by.
Good afternoon.
Wanted to talk with you because, well, first of all, 5 years ago, wow, it seems like it wasn't that long ago. It's gone so quickly. But what are your memories? What really sticks with you from the 2013 flood?
Oh, I have a lot of memories, and just over the last couple of days reflecting, they just flood back. But
they flood back? Did you really mean to say that?
I didn't mean that. Pardon me. But the sound. I remember helicopters and sirens, and the absence of city noise because there were no trains running. I remember the smell of the river. It reeked of petroleum and waste, and you could smell it from many kilometers away. And I remember the spirit of Calgarians and helping each other, and that was a remarkable time to live through. I feel blessed that I experienced it in some ways, and then we have to continue to use that resolve to fix our river and the communities alongside it.
In those 5 years, what steps have been taken? Because a lot of Calgarians, we hear so much about what's going to happen with the dam, the Springbank Dam. But what has happened closer to home, especially in your ward when we look at Sunnyside and the inner city community that you represent?
We have done a lot. It's not enough. We have a lot more to do. We've worked on drainage in communities like Sunnyside. What happened, I don't know if you remember, but there were 2 floods in Sunnyside. It rained after the flood, and the flood gates at the river were closed, so all the water from the communities above Crescent Heights and Rosedale and beyond flooded into Sunnyside with no place to go. We've now fixed that. There are lifting stations to actually lift that water back into the river if it floods and the gates are closed. We have a lot of upper plateau work to do around drainage. That's a big ticket item, but we've committed to do that. We've created berms along our river. So if you've been in West Eau Claire lately, there's a huge amount of construction that's not just beautiful, it's going to be flood resilient and protect the community of Eau Claire. We have other barricades or berms that we'll need to explore for communities like Bowness and Sunnyside. So there's a lot we have done. We've spent about $150 million combined with the province, the federal government, and the city. We have a lot more to do, and that work really needs to be upstream on the Bow and the Elbow.
When we talk about the work upstream on the Bow and the Elbow, is this the province's responsibility? Is that why we still don't know what's happening when we look west of our city, and we still have a lot of residents upset about the possibility of the Springbank Dam proposal. So that still hasn't been settled, has it?
Well, I believe that the Springbank Dam, the science has been settled, and it's a matter of resolve. Now we need to see it built. And if we were building today, we wouldn't put our downtown adjacent to 2 rivers. But we have built our city close to 2 rivers. That's the way things were done in the past. We know better now, but now in new communities we have a significant setback. But we have to maintain our downtown core. It's our economic driver, and we need those upstream mitigations in order to protect our core and protect the communities along the river. The Bow is more complicated, and that is work that still needs to be done. The Elbow, I think Calgarians would like to see that work proceed.
And even when we talk about the downtown core, yeah, it's the bread and butter of this community for sure. So what are some changes that if I'm developing, I'm looking out right now at beautiful East Village.
And this was all underwater.
This was all underwater. So what do we make sure that as we continue to develop areas like the East Village, that if there is another flood in the next 100 years, that those communities are protected?
I think we have to recognize there will be another flood, and what can we do to ensure that we're more resilient when that happens. And we have learned a lot. We have better forecasting, our weather forecast. We have better flood map so we have an understanding of where the water will go. East Village was a really interesting example. It was almost completely underwater. It came from the bow and the elbow, but how we're building those new buildings is very different than what we have done in the past. So the mechanicals are not in the basement anymore, they're above, and the parkades are allowed to flood. It's very interesting because we had just finished the district energy plant in East Village. That was flooded as well, but it continued to operate. And so a lot of the multifamily and institutions in East Village are connected to the district energy plant. And so we have learned a lot of how to make buildings more resilient. Not maybe flood proof, but flood resistant.
Druh, thanks so much for dropping by, and let's see how things move into the future. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Councillor Druh Farrell joining us today. It's